Hey there! Hey everybody, this is Dicebag here, artist, game designer, world builder, and occasional VTuber, and we're actually doing the game design part this time. And I got a special guest here. Who is this?
This is MS Arthadian. I am the lore master, creative director of Arthadian Anthologies.
Yeah, and we're gonna be working on designing a card game together.
Yes.
So, he had some ideas that I thought sounded cool, and he doesn't really know much about doing card games, so I was like, I'll help.
Yeah.
Basically.
Like how this all came about was I was on the Star Chamber show, and I was talking to them about how like the first thing that I wanted to do with Reborn in Power was turn it into a card game. But I didn't know necessarily how to do that, and also there's a lot of costs that go into making a card game.
Yeah.
And I knew tabletop RPGs way better, so that's what I started off with first. But I know that like I don't think I've seen any kind of card game like the one that I've been thinking about or brewing in my head, but you have a lot of experience in this, so I figured.
Oh.
Like, and you also were in the chat. We're like, hey, maybe we should like team up or something like that. I'm like, oh yeah, let's try it out.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about saying I have a lot of experience, but I have made one.
Yes. That's more experience than I have. So
let's see. Okay, I'm not used to the interface on one-on-one calls for Discord, so I'm trying to find out where the volume control is. Let's see.
Oh yeah, there should be. I think there might. Oh yeah, I don't even know where it's at either.
Do I click on you?
I'm testing it out too. Oh, it might have to be straight into the user settings.
The user setting.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
Voice and video. I mean, it would be me. I'm too loud on your end, probably.
Yeah, you're kind of clipping out occasionally.
Okay, let me see. This is Discord. Discord is
Discord is Discordian.
Yes.
And we already got Koheth out in the chat. How's it going, Koheth? He was interested in watching this.
Oh yes. But you know, technical difficulties happen.
They are what they are. We started setting this up like 5 minutes ago. It's bound to happen.
I just clicked on help and it just took me to the support page. How? Would it be better to do this inside inside an actual Discord chat, like the actual server? Maybe we could go into like the Crytures playtest server if you like.
That might actually be better. Yeah, let's go do that.
Hop over to general.
Yep. Hey.
Hello.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a different sound.
Yeah, there. It's right there. User volume. That's very easy to find in the channels.
Yeah, why does it not do that for the regular chat? It's so interesting.
That is the question, is it not? All right.
So, get back to this.
All right. So, what was the idea you were pitching to me there, or intending to pitch to me there?
So the idea behind how I imagined Reborn in Power to start was I wanted it to be a character decks where basically you have a certain number of cards and you get like certain like skills, feats, abilities, gear pieces, and all that stuff. And each one is like a different card, and that is your character deck, and you can mix and match which ones you have, and then you have a hand that you get, and then every player gets basically their own character, and then the lore master or the GM has a full-on big deck, and then they can it's like a 1v5 type of situation. You could do it in a storytelling sense, or you could do it in like you're actually like trying to strategize with your allies who also have their character decks versus the main guy who's running the show, basically.
Right. That's actually pretty close to what I was thinking in terms of before. So some of these questions I'll pull up here on the screen. Some of these will actually apply that I wasn't sure about, but I got a whole list of questions that we kind of want to go through to figure out exactly how we're gonna be making this thing. Let's see. Okay. I'm getting confused by some of my window things. There we
Too
go.
many windows.
I've got things on all different layers, and it's not normal. Let's just put it that way. I have a very normal way of doing things, and this ain't it. There we go. All right, now we're both in front of the thing. Let's see.
Perfect.
Go ahead. It says, does Mr. Big Deck also simply draw more as well? I think that's what we're going to be working on. Things like that. But yeah, let's see. Well, let's... Excuse me. Well, let's answer this first question. What kind of card game is this supposed to be? Like, we got trading card games, expandable card games, one with on-the-spot deck building, where you basically just have a whole set of cards and everybody kind of builds their deck right before the game or as the game's going. Or is it just a game with a single deck, which is probably not the way we're going.
So what's an expandable card game?
An expandable card game is basically a trading card game, but without the random packs. So the cards would come in like a box set, and you'll get like a full play set for that entire set of cards. So it's a TCG without the gambling.
Yeah.
And this is the way I designed Domain. But I also have booster packs, but they have like specialty versions of the cards.
Yeah. See, that's kind of what I was thinking originally. It would be like you get a starter set, and then you get specific packs that are tailored to maybe like a specific class or something like that, or a specific like gear type of gear kind of thing. And you know what you're getting inside those packs. It's not going to be like a random kind of thing.
Okay, so expandable card game is what you're thinking. So let's gonna mark that one right there. So
what level of extraction?
Level of abstraction. Can
you elaborate more on that?
Card games tend to be very abstract, you know? So, you know, just in the sense that you're representing the things in the game world with card games, that alone is something that's like very far removed from like the actual in-world representation. So this kind of ties in with the one below it of what is the scope of a single game. So if we're talking like a single dungeon crawl, from when you sit down and draw your first hand to when you declare victory on either side. That's what we're talking about in the scope of a single game. So will that be like a dungeon crawl, a whole like adventure, or campaign arc, or full-length campaign where you start out as newbies and then defeat the big bad in one sitting?
So like originally what I was thinking was like your character deck would be very small to start, and then as you grow in levels you would get access to more cards or more gear, and you have like an amount of slots that you get access to the more you grow and level. So what I initially felt would be the case would be like a full length campaign kind of thing, and it would take the place of an actual tabletop RPG, like how a tabletop RPG is set up, but with cards instead of dice. So
we're talking like you'd come together for separate play sessions over the course of a campaign. Okay.
But also I was also thinking about like different character decks that could be made, and then you could run like one-shot sessions with those character decks at a specific level.
Yeah, okay. I think what we'd be going for is the single adventure option there. So basically, each time you sit down, it's going to be one adventure at a time.
Kind of like episodic, like an episodic kind of thing.
Right. And then in between games, your characters can kind of get their advancements and stuff. And then they can grow their decks and get new things. And that kind of ties into the next one. But let's see, Dale's in the chat, says, wouldn't that make an ECG just guaranteed pulls, no rarities, alt arts, etc.? Yes. The idea of an expandable card game is to remove the lottery aspect. But with Domain, the game I made before, I do have booster packs, but they are all for like alternate fancy looking versions. They have nicer frames, and some of them have full art. So that's a way I kind of did to like balance the fun things about each one. So you don't need to do the gambling thing, but if you're into that, there's an outlet for it. So anyways, character progression. Like you were saying, I also thought about like being able to add things to your deck and kind of expand on it. But there is kind of a drawback to that, in the sense that the more cards you have in your deck, the more difficult it is to get the cards you're looking for.
So then would there then my question is, how complex are we making the it's gonna be a tabletop RPG, so there's gonna it's like a tabletop RPG version, so it would be kind of complex to a point where maybe we might require certain ways for players to actually be able to get a card from their deck. Like, I don't know, coins or something like that. Like they flip a coin and then they're able to like search a card, like search for a specific like gear piece, or like maybe like a magazine for a weapon, for like a gun that they need, and for the equipment kind of thing.
I'm having a hard time following what you're saying there. Let's see.
I mean, like it's more like if you can't, if there's too many cards, like let's say you have too many cards in your deck, and it takes you a long time to get the card that you want because of RNG kind of thing. Maybe there is an actual system mechanic in which you every character has a chance to actually pick a card from their deck, or like pick a card to use. I'm not exactly sure how else to explain it.
Right. Well, we don't need to answer all the questions right off the bat, necessarily.
Okay.
Character progression is definitely going to be one of the more complex things of the game. So it will probably change multiple times. Let's see. Dale is also saying, from my gathering, the concept so far you got is character-focused deck that has a linear pseudo-narrative, like specking and respecking an RPG build. That's kind of what we're thinking, I think.
Yeah.
But there's definitely, I feel like there should be definitely like an increase in power in some way or another. Because otherwise, if you're just respecking in between adventures, doesn't feel like you're actually making progress. So maybe if we go down to the deck building limitations question, maybe there's something we can put into play there, like maybe cards have a certain cost that is accounted for in the deck building, so as you go up in level, the maximum cost of your deck can also go up. That's something to think about.
Yeah.
Anyways, on to the next one. How is resource management handled? So, build up, that would be in the sense of like Magic the Gathering. Each turn, you're playing a land, and the next turn you play another land, then the turn after that you got 3 lands, then 4, then 5, and as you go you can play more powerful cards as you build up your resources. Or we got the turn-by-turn one, where basically your resources would reset every single turn. And this is more, probably a little closer to what they typically would use in this type of game. So I'm thinking like Flesh and Blood. I think Dale's familiar with that. But they have a mechanic where in order to get your resources, you basically discard a card, and that gives you a certain amount of resources printed on the card. And then you use those to play the rest of your hand for that turn. And then there's the question, is it variable? So do we change it randomly, or is it fixed? Is it the same amount every time? So do we have like do we say like, okay, you have 7 action points every turn? Or is it like I was describing before, where you might have a variable of action turns depending on like what card you're spending for it?
What if the resource management was like, it is determined about how high level your character would be?
Yeah, that could be worked into it.
Like it would be implemented into the character progression of it. And,
yeah.
Or it could also be tied to a specific class who has more that they can do on their turn because they are spec'd that way, or something like that. Jeez, there's so many things you could do with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to go with games like this, but let's see.
I would say variable maybe to start, just because like it feels more flexible.
Yeah, we could also do, I mean, there's all kinds of ways you could hybridize.
Do a mixture. We could do like a hybrid of it.
Yeah, what I was kind of thinking is like, let's say we have like different power sources, kind of like Magic has the colors of mana, let's say, and then like the cards that your character is based on or whatever, they have a certain amount that they generate each turn, and then that can go up if as you increase in level. And then like maybe your character generates like 2 red and 3 blue mana each turn, and that kind of creates a limitation on your guy, but also I don't know how to put it. I'm not sure what I'm going with that. But I do you kind of get the gist of what I'm saying?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, well, we can kind of hammer out the details after a few rounds of going back and forth on how everything works together.
Mm-hmm.
None of this is really binding yet. So then there's what's the win-loss conditions. This is going to be a big one.
Yes.
So damage and health is probably going to be important, because getting killed is just a common thing in RPGs.
Yeah.
But then, let's see, milling for one thing, that's pretty common.
Well,
I guess.
What is milling?
Milling is when you run out of cards in your deck.
Okay.
So, but then there's also victory points. So basically you just accumulate a certain amount of points for whatever reason, in whatever manner, and you win. So, uh-oh.
What happened?
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
There's a storm
Something
brewing outside. Is the stream still going?
It looks like it on my end.
Oh, that's weird. It must have just taken out my monitors there. I hope that doesn't happen again.
I see that the stream has like the screen is kind of messed up a little bit.
Okay. Let's see. Yeah, that's probably because
that's better.
Yeah, the thing was minimized because one of my monitors shut off. I got 3, so it like moved over to a different screen. That was scary. Okay, well, anyways, where were we?
So we were on the win-loss conditions.
Win-loss conditions, right?
And victory points.
Okay.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm thinking. Health. Being one of the. Well, I mean, that is probably going to be the main one. Is like your character's health and how that is determined. And also, I'm also thinking maybe we set up some kind of. I feel like there has to be like a resource system when it comes to this card game, like where once you run out of resources, which is your cards, then you're kind of screwed and you're gonna have to retreat or something like that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm getting a freaking alert on my phone.
It's storming that bad?
Oh, it says tornado warning until 9:30. It's almost 9:30 right now.
Oh my gosh.
I'm honestly not worried about it. We get this crap all the time around here. I've never seen a tornado actually get in the city.
Wow.
But yeah, hopefully it just doesn't knock out my internet. But anyways, victory points. I think we're back up. It's a completely different stream and oh geez.
Oh yeah, yes it is. It is.
What? All right. Let's see. F's in the chat if you can still see us. Let's see it, boys. I don't know if YouTube's live or what. I can't freaking tell.
Oh, Koheth.
Oh wait, there it is.
Koheth's there.
Okay. YouTube says the title is It's My Birthday and I'll draw what I want to. That's not the right stream, but that's the one we're streaming on. I love YouTube and streaming. Oh well. You know what? Maybe I can change that, like, on the fly. Let's see. What the... So yeah, let's take that and copy it and paste and save it. Now it says the right thing. Too bad my thumbnail is dead. But that's a minor concern. And wouldn't you know it, it's like all quiet outside now. It just came through, perfect. Ripped everything apart, screwed up my stream, and then left. Wouldn't you know?
the tornado was actually through the internet, not.
It just wimped right by. I hate that. Alas, I live in the Midwest. It happens. Tornado warning? It's already over? Well.
I got the earthquakes here.
Oh, yeah. I've seen one earthquake in my life. And I didn't know what was going on because it literally woke me up and I was like, why is the room shaking? What's going on? What? Okay, where were we at? We were talking about win-loss conditions, weren't we?
Still on win-loss, yes.
Win-loss conditions, alright. So, in terms of the victory points thing, I think what I was saying was, it'd be a good idea to have the players able to fail a mission without dying.
Yes, exactly.
So, in that sense, I think it'd be a good idea to have victory points like on either side, both for like the dungeon master and the players themselves. So basically, like, I'm thinking that the deck you pit them against is kind of their mission for the session.
Yeah.
And then, like, each challenge that you throw at them will award a certain amount of victory points one way or another, whether that be a combat encounter or something else happening. And then whoever reaches a certain set first wins that game. And then maybe damage and health can be kind of like a subset of that.
Kind of like if let's say like a creature that the GM pits against the players, and the players are able to make the creature reach a certain like threshold of health, then they are rewarded victory points for like defeating it. Kind of like inside like a video game where if you defeat like a boss to a certain amount of health, then a cutscene happens. That kind of situation where like, oh, the cutscene either makes the creature like transform to become even stronger. That becomes like the next challenge, or the players are able to defeat that like said creature and earn victory points, kind of thing. And there's like a little like role playing cutscene for that specific creature or something like that.
Right. Well, this kind of goes back up to what, like, the level of abstraction that I was talking about. Because not every challenge necessarily needs to be like throwing a monster at them, you know?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And that's how I was thinking the victory points would come into play. Like, you could score a victory through, like, ingenuity.
Through, like, unlocking a door or something like that.
Yeah, like if you overcome a challenge through a certain means, you get a victory point for that. And there might be multiple ways to go about it, or different card combinations you can play to achieve a similar result. So like if you've got a combat encounter, let's say you can play your combat types of cards that like do their damage and whatnot. But you could also have cards that like key off of other stats that also do damage.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got
victory points be on like a spectrum where, like, let's say it goes up to 10 victory points, and then that is like when you would basically complete the adventure, or like -10 is when you completely failed the adventure, and then let's say you succeed on certain things, so you get victory points, and then as you get the victory points, maybe you fail on certain things, and then it goes down, so then it goes into like the negatives, and you have to stay in the positive range of things, kind of like on a scale. It goes up based off of like a scale, like for the entire party or something like that.
I think it would be better if we tracked it like separately. So the party will have their own victory points, and then the dungeon master will have their own victory points. So if the players fail a challenge, that would go into the DM's victory points. And if they succeed, that goes into theirs. And then whoever reaches the desired amount, that's who wins.
Okay.
So if we were to do it the other way, where we go like positives and negatives, then you wind up in situations where like you're going 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, and you just kind of end up in the middle usually. Whereas with this other way, you're always progressing towards the goal. So maybe like killing a character would count as a victory point for the DM. And that would play in like the card elimination style thing, the last choice on here. Because obviously if all the characters die, that's a win for the DM.
That's a win.
So we're not really eliminating cards so much as eliminating whole decks. And speaking of decks, avatar cards. So this is like a single card that kind of represents your character, or maybe several different cards, like maybe a class and a race or something like that.
Yeah.
But could just
How
have
I was
it
thinking is like the deck is the avatar, so like it is the character, but then for the GM it would be like specific character avatars for like certain things happening. Like the GM would actually just have straight up little like stat blocks on the cards that they have and put them out there. I'm not exactly sure how it would work, but I imagine the actual players having more little like options for their specific character, like through their deck, whereas the GM has many different options to choose from, but there's not as many cards that work for like specific avatars as for like the player. It actually has like everything. It works for that character or their allies, kind of thing, like being a support or like a tank or damage dealer.
I'm having a hard time following that. But...
I'm just babbling at this point. It's more like the players have a deck that is like the avatar, whereas the GM has a deck with a bunch of different specific character avatars.
Okay, or
like creatures kind of thing.
I wasn't even thinking in terms of like what the DM would have. I was specifically talking about the characters. So you would say that the deck and as in its entirety would represent the character.
Yeah.
All right. So what you were mentioning before, forget how you phrased it. Something about you know what? Never mind. I can't remember what it was. But that plays into deck building limitations next, of course.
Mhm.
So, how are decks limited in what sense? So, hard limits are specifically like if you were to have an avatar card, it would be like, okay, here's your warrior. He can have warrior cards in his deck. On the flip side, you also have like the magic system, MTG, where you're not really excluded from putting any particular card in your deck, but there's like a risk reward factor in that the more cards you have from different colors of magic, the more difficult it becomes to play those cards because you have to, your resource base is spread too thin. So that's kind of the faction idea, not necessarily exclusive though. And let's see.
Yeah, I'd say maybe like it's like a benefit towards going a specific route rather than becoming like a jack of all trades kind of thing.
Yeah, what I thought, there's also always like a spectrum involved in stuff like this too, so maybe there is like a certain limit of how many faction types of cards you can have. Like say, maybe if you want to play a warrior character, you would have like, let's say like feats, maneuvers, and tactics would be the kind of cards you pick in your deck, or something along those lines. Whereas if you're a rogue, you might have feats and maneuvers and then some other thing. And we could, if we're going with the no avatar, then that would just be mix and match. So whatever amount of different versions we're allowing, you'd be able to pick and choose however you want. Or if we do the avatar card, say like we have a class card that represents your character, then maybe it's has the specific list on there and then some other benefits it gets from being the warrior class or whatever.
Yeah, I would probably say the faction exclusive would probably be the better route for limitations.
In what sense? I kind of butchered that into different ones.
Like in the sense that you following a specific path will like following a specific deck build will be better for you in the long run versus going like you could still build a deck with other like faction cards or whatever like class cards that you might get, but that won't benefit you in the long run because it spreads you too thin kind of thing.
Right, like the magic system I was talking about.
Yeah,
we'll call that risk reward. All right, so that'll have to tie into resource management in order to make that work.
But I also feel like we could do a thing where there could be different types of classes, let's say, that can work well with each other, to where you can actually, like in essence, multi-class to get certain benefits from both that work well with each other. Like if you're making like a Pokemon deck and you go like a fire water deck or something like that, but this is like, let's say you're making it like an assassin warrior type character who's who basically is very quick and able to use like some like bow and arrow or like sniper rifle thing, but like once creatures come up to you, you're able to actually fight them one-on-one. Like you're still in the wheelhouse of being like a physical type character, but you also are able to kind of do two types of things at the same time, being able to wield something ranged as well as being able to fight like melee combat.
Right. I think this kind of ties into what I was talking about with resource management. What was I saying? Like if we like tie the resource generation to the cards that are actually in the deck, in a way, then we can basically do that without really worrying too much about the specifics. Like, let me bring up.
Oh, is it back again? Don't tell me it's back.
It's not. I'm just can't find the thing I'm looking for.
Oh.
I have the way I did domain, the resource generation in that is kind of like what I'm talking about, in that instead of having like specific cards dedicated to generating mana like you would in Magic the Gathering, each card had a bottom portion that functioned that way. So whenever you played a resource, instead of having a specific resource card, you would actually play any other card, but you'd play it upside down, so its bottom is facing up. And that would have like your resource generation attached to that. So that's probably something I should do a mock-up of to show you.
Yeah.
I was gonna look for the cards that I had, but I'm not sure where they're at. Let's see.
I think I know what you mean. Like there's actual like resources at the bottom of the card, and if you let's say you're like I know certain card games where you discard certain cards, and if you discard the cards, you gain some kind of resource back because you discarded that card.
Right,
to be able to use
like that
kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. Alright. I've actually got a website for that claim. Let me link you to the website and you can see the cards as they are.
There it is.
Yeah, so let's see. Can I... Yeah, just do that. Alright, got it on screen here. Got one of the cards. This first one, Eastport Infiltrator, is a good example. As you can see, he's got the regular, like, card stuff going on when you have them right side up. But you go and flip them over. Oh, I have too many things on my screen.
You're just clicking on other things.
Let's see, transform. Flip vertical.
It's the symbol at the bottom, right?
Yeah. You flip them over and now you're on resource mode. Oh wait. We're gonna have to flip him.
Yeah, it has to be mirrored.
Horizontal too. There we go.
This rest.
So if we were to do something kind of along these lines, then we could have that risk reward kind of limitation in the same way that Magic does, without having to deal with like the whole energy card economy thing that people hate. So let's see. Let's go on to the next thing. Power differences and how they're balanced. You got the ramp up. That's basically just the same thing as like Magic does. So turn after turn, you gain more resources. That means you can play more powerful cards. And that's a nice one, just because it lets you play like how do I put this? It lets you make the same card with bigger stats, but it has higher cost, you know? It makes a lot of design room for extra cards. Let's get rid of that off the screen. Then of course there's play restrictions. This is something Pokemon does a lot. They have it so like you can play one supporter card per turn. You can play one evolution per turn. You can attach one energy card per turn. And then there's just drawbacks, which, you know, most card games are going to use that to some extent to balance out different things.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be a combination of everything, really. There's lots of ways you can balance the power of different things. But, last one, where does roleplay begin and mechanics end? So that's kind of the crux of everything, ultimately.
Yeah.
Like, how do you decide what's roleplaying and when do you do it? And that
the question is, like, when it comes to like tabletop RPGs, it's always whether or not, like, how do you determine what's a success and what's a failure, and that's usually determined by the dice roll and whatever modifiers you have. But when it comes to like a card game, how do we determine what is a success and a failure?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Will that be determined by the card itself that you're using? Will there be specific skills that the cards have, like, on them that needs to beat whatever card the
DM plays?
The DM has played. Like, let's say
challenge he has.
Let's say the DM has a random, like, environmental card. There's a thick bush that requires an athletics check or something like that to push through it, and then all the players then have to see if they have a card that has an athletics check on it to then play it and see if theirs beats that card's DC or something like that. And so that is a question of how we're going to make those mechanics work. Will there be certain cards at a certain level in which the player's card needs to meet or beat that card at that same level, kind of thing? Or is it going to be like a group? The way I've thought about it has been like the group has to strategize together in order to defeat whatever the GM is putting out there.
Right, they have to combine their cards to basically multiply their chance of success.
It's like when you're helping out your friend in D&D and you get advantage on the roll, but this is like you have your deck of cards and everyone kind of knows what everyone's skill sets are, and you have to work together to figure out which things you need to do in order to basically defeat what is in front of you, or complete what is in front of you.
Yeah, that's one of the things about card games, is that you usually don't want to add more random elements to it. So dice rolls are kind of out, so it's basically up to the specific cards, each all being successes on their own, but having to build up together in order to overcome whatever
success.
Whatever's put in front of them. And one thing I was thinking of, so whenever you're presented with a challenge, the characters might have like a round to do whatever, and then if they don't succeed on that round, they'll take some kind of penalty or take damage or something like that, and the challenge continues until they are able to build up enough whatever resource they need to overcome that thing. So if they don't overcome it in the first round, that might score like a victory point for the DM.
For the
Or if they're in a combat encounter, they might take damage for each round that they don't finish it.
Yeah, I think those are good things to kind of like think over as we start like kind of fleshing out the concepts of these cards. And I feel like that there's obviously going to be probably different types of many different types of cards in this game.
Yeah. I mean, if our
the question is like, do we like we should probably make a system for each category of like each type of card and like how like the power levels of them and what they are. I know we talked about like having like mana cards, like energy, like different types of energies.
Yeah, so like if we were to go back to like D&D as an example, we could have like power sources like martial and divine, then arcane and primal and stuff like that. And those are things you could kind of combine into your deck. So you might have martial and primal, slap those together, and you've got like a ranger. And then so their cards would have to key off of either of those two things as the resources. But now might actually be a good time to like pull up Photoshop and start doodling what cards might actually look like. I won't really be doodling. Photoshop has all the oh, dang it. Once again, I need the card templates. Actually, I have creature cards that I was making a while back. I can just pull one of those up for a template. Let's see. Card game, that's what it is. Alright. There we go. Let's see, I can probably stream that to you on Discord, and I'll put it on screen.
I mean, I'm watching on the Twitch stream, so if you want,
it's probably delayed.
There. Yeah, it is most likely delayed here. I'll go over there then.
All right. Then I'll try to put that on the screen here.
Let me see Discord. Oh yeah.
All right, let's move that. All right. There we go. We got this little thing. Okay. Gonna have to put all this in a folder and turn it off. There, we got a blank card there. Let's make a new folder for this so I can keep it separate. All right. So, what kind of card should we think about first here?
Well, what's the most basic thing we could think about?
Maybe we should design like a challenge or something? Or we were talking about the resources with the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just go through and make like some real basic attack stuff. Just some real generic sounding stuff. Doesn't really need to make sense until we actually hammer out the stuff, but it's to get an idea of what we're actually going to make them look like. Let's see. I don't know. Give me a name of an attack.
Whirlwind Strike.
Whirlwind Strike. All right. Whirlwind Strike. There we go. And let's see. Let's say Whirlwind Strike costs 3 whatevers. Put that up there.
3 WE. WWE.
Let's make that bigger. Let's make it like 120 size font. Not that it's that big of a difference, but whatever. Alright. Whirlwind Strike. What does Whirlwind Strike do? Actually, what is Whirlwind Strike?
Whirlwind Strike is you spin around 3 times and strike 3 times. Strike with whatever weapon you have that you've placed down. Oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah, loot is something else I forgot to add to
That
the thing,
makes me-
because that's something we should incorporate in some way or another.
Like what if you have like a gear side of things, like the things that you have equipped? Because I feel like the things that you would have equipped would be on like accessible, right? In your hand.
You'd think so. See, this is why I was thinking we might have avatar cards, because those could be like equipped to it, not necessarily being part of the deck itself. And then maybe they could count into like your
I mean,
deck
we're
limits,
still
you know?
brainstorming here, so
Yeah.
this is all
So
this is all possible.
getting a sip of water there for a second. Let's just
Yeah, like when I was originally like thinking about this, what I was planning on doing was having like limitations based off of your deck, like where you could have like 10 gear cards and then like 10 skill cards and then maybe like a few like actual like I guess like energy things that you could do. And it also was based off of my game and how it works.
right. I was actually thinking it might be really good for us to have it setting neutral and just make everything really generic. And something we could do later on is like make more specific types of sets. So those might be themed after like specific worlds and stuff. So we could do one for yours. We could do one for like my card game world or whatever. We could also do like licensed sets. So maybe other like RPG creators would like to have a set of their own.
That would be cool. That would be really cool.
That would be a
like
lot of potential there.
Yeah.
And
yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, so let's see. Whirlwind Strike. Deal 3 damage. That's a start. Let's say this costs 3 M. M for Marshall. And then let's see. Let's make a line break or something like that. I'll just go ahead and draw something on there. Okay, I have to make a new layer. I haven't used Photoshop in a while in this sense. I'm a Clip Studio Paint boy now.
Why aren't you using Clip Studio? Oh.
Because it's bad for formatting things like this.
I wish I could help, but
yeah,
I'd be horrible at this.
Good for drawing, not so much for like designing angular forms. Alright. So we'll put deal 3 damage down here. Then we'll have like a card type here. Say this is like a let's make it more general. An action card. Oh, let's action attack. So that'll be like our general thing. Like the category of the card.
Mm-hmm.
That will define like how it's played.
And then maybe we could have like a passive type card.
Yeah, it could have like auras or something like that.
Yeah, auras.
Alright, save that one. And we're gonna have to come up with terminology for like the non-combat things too. That's a big thing, is coming up with the terminology for these things.
We should have a roleplay card.
A roleplay
type.
I'm thinking
that'd
like
be socials.
Socials,
Like,
yes.
Yeah.
So let's make a social card, but so we'll make this action social. Whoops, not SoCal. Social. And let's make it like a fast talk.
Why are you talking so fast, man?
And these stupid fonts, it keeps putting this weird stuff on the T's and whatnot. I'm not sure why it do that. Uh-oh, wait a second. Photoshop freezing up on me.
It looks frozen.
Is something else going wrong on this stream? Oh, yep.
Something happened.
Okay, where the hell did I put those things? Oh look, it auto-saved. Okay, whatever. Okay, fast talk. Now how do we word deal 3 damage but for social things?
I think I lost the stream.
Oh, right.
On the Discord.
That's because it was sharing the specific window, of course. There we go. No, we could just put in deal 2 social damage.
Social anxiety.
Keep it very open-ended. Adam's in chat now. Adam, how do you like our... I don't know what we're doing. Alright, fast talk. We got social. We got the social type. Now, what else would we need? Maybe like spells? Actually, we might need to be more general than that. Because a spell would literally just be like another type of action, but with the arcane power.
Yeah.
So maybe...
magic?
Maybe like...
energy?
What do you call that? Maybe
ability?
Subterfuge, something like that. Let's see. Maybe we should think of like ideas for what kind of challenges they would need to overcome and make the actions based on that. So like we've got the basic combat action. Actually, let's iterate on the combat actions for now. Let's make another attack, but we'll make this like an arcane one. Make a magic missile. Let's make magic missile like a variable one. So it can put any amount of energy into it. And it will deal that much damage. What I'm thinking is the more we just kind of go through basic stuff and kind of iterate on it, the better we'll understand what we're doing ultimately. Not
Should
magic. Typed magic.
Should we make a list of the different types of cards that we're going to have first on the document?
I get the feeling we're gonna end up changing that a whole lot. But we could keep a running list.
Yeah.
Let's see, should we make a new document with like a design for a design document?
Yeah, we can.
Let's see.
Or we can say on the same document.
Just keep the same one. Just
make a new section.
Let's. All right. Design doc. All right. Make a section for card types. Oh, and none of this is on the screen. Let's see. Dang it, there's not enough screen space. Design doc. Alright. This is so cluttered. Stream's gonna look awful. Anyways. Card types. We got actions, obviously.
Actions.
Challenges, obviously,
yes.
for the DM.
Yeah.
Items. Probably.
Items. Yeah, item cards or like your gear that you have, equipment, I guess.
Might have like complications for the DM to play, so they can have like an interactive thing instead of just slapping down a challenge. Maybe we could just have like a general passive type.
Yeah, passive.
Let's split this into like 2 different things. Card types. PCs. And then we'll make one for the GMs.
GMs.
All right.
Energy cards.
Energy?
Or
we talking like Pokemon?
I mean, I don't know. Those might be like passives themselves.
I like to steer away from those because
yeah,
they have that whole mana screw type of issue. If you know what I mean. Have you played Magic before?
I haven't gotten too deep into Magic.
Okay, well, one of the issues that really frustrates people is just that sometimes you don't draw any land cards, or sometimes you draw all land cards. And under both circumstances, you can't really play the game. So that's what I was talking about, like having the like having that kind of card stapled on to the other types of cards, so they can function as either or.
Should we give GMs like NPCs?
Oh, we could. Complications could be like a, or NPCs could be a subset of complications.
Yeah.
We'll throw that down. I think that's enough to go off of.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Because those all seem pretty generic.
Right. That's the thing. We kind of have to prevent ourselves from getting too down in the dirt with the specifics.
I love rolling around in the dirt.
You want to get in there and like make all the political systems and stuff.
Yeah.
Well, no. No flavor. Only mechanics. What else? Let's see. Maybe we should have... Let's make a passive one. Passive one. We'll make this a, I don't know, a divine passive. We'll call it an aura. Real basic paladin stuff.
Let's call it divine sight.
Divine sight. I already know how we could do this. Maybe divine sight lets you
Ooh. Lets you see invisible creatures. Maybe.
You're not thinking in card game terms here.
Oh, sorry. I'm thinking. I'm still an RPG mind. Sorry.
I was thinking divine sight could be like let you manipulate the top cards on your deck or something.
Oh, yeah.
That's card game mechanics right there.
Or even the GM stuff.
That
like,
too.
Some like future. I mean, we could make a foresight option and have it be like, what's the next complication that's going to arise?
Yeah, let's say you may look at the top card of one deck. At the beginning of your turn, you may look at the top card of one deck.
Yes.
Alright, we're gonna have to move things. All right, now we're developing things.
This is the development stage.
Yeah, see, if we just start spitballing, things start coming out. Says, let you view the GM's hand and deal damage equal to value. Let's see. Let's center this thing up. It's bugging me. Alright. What's the next kind of thing we want to do? Just spitball like random things. How about a sneak attack?
That's a pretty good one.
That's a generic thing.
Yeah. It's active, right? I would say it's active.
What did we call that? Action. Actions. That's what we do. And let's say what kind of things could we use in the game to
maybe we should make a sneak card before we make the sneak attack card. Or maybe the sneak attack card lets you sneak before an encounter, and then you can attack or something like that. And then the only way, like, the GM would have to have a counter, like a countering card or something like that.
What if we switched it over to ambush and did something kind of along those lines? Not smabush.
A smambush.
Smabush.
I am a bush. I am a bush. Gotta get rid of that A.
Ambush. There we go.
There we go.
Ambush. So, let's see. What were we saying? Like,
sneak before an encounter, lets you
how about
not be affected by a card at the start of the encounter.
Yeah, maybe if you use the ambush, you can go one round without suffering the setback from the challenge card.
Well, wouldn't an ambush be like you're the one who's hiding who is about to attack someone? So would you get like
right
an extra attack?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if we go the route where like challenge cards would have some drawback or deal damage each round that you don't finish it, then if you delay that by a turn, that's effectively giving everybody an extra turn.
Okay, yeah, you could do that. Like delay.
So, how do we say that? I don't know. let's just spitball this. The
But
current challenge does not trigger a setback on the GM's next turn. We're gonna have to clean up all the wording at some point, but I think it gets the point across. But let's see. My music has fallen off. Alright. I'll save the ambush. Actually, ambush is pretty tough. That sounds like a really good card. Let's bump it up to 3. And spell it right when I save the file. Adam says, will this be an ongoing campaign or like a multiplayer roguelike? A little bit of both, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be like an episodic thing where you do like an adventure per game, and you can have like basically the same characters going through it. I imagine. So
each time you sit down, it would be like just like one adventure, but then you can string them all together for a bigger narrative. Is what we're going for.
Yeah.
All right. No, maybe we should record what kind of subtypes we've got under the actions and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We've got attacks. Social.
Social, yeah.
And then passive, we have auras,
right? And then
maybe we should design like a basic challenge card next to get on that other end.
Mm-hmm. Environment challenge, or maybe that would be under complications.
It depends on how we're using it, I guess.
Oh yeah, I mean, maybe complication cards are only played when you cannot, well, like basically when you cannot complete the like the complications are basically like the setbacks.
Right.
So you place down a challenge, and if they cannot like complete the challenge on their turns, like on their round, then the GM then adds a complication to that challenge.
Right.
And now the complications have to be dealt with as well. Or the complication has to like one player to have to pass in order to get back to the challenge.
Right. There's a lot of different ways we could do that.
Yeah,
but
it's very,
card games tend to be very open-ended like that, so
yeah.
Let's just start simple and we'll build from there. Let's make a general like combat encounter.
Okay.
What should we call this? Like
or maybe we should not do combat and do like something maybe simpler, which is like just.
I feel like combat would be the simplest one, actually.
Really? You think so?
Well, we already have cards that deal damage.
Okay.
I think the gist of a combat encounter would be just accumulate enough damage to overcome it. Then it might have like a certain rule or something like that to go along with it.
Okay, so let's do a slime.
A slime. Slime. All right. And ultimately, I was into a lot of reading like Magic the Gathering development stuff back in the day, and they literally just make the most generic names with just the mechanics, print them out on a black and white sticker, and then slap that sticker on top of another card and make their place text decks out of that. So let's say the slime has like 5 HP. Make that a challenge. Combat?
Yeah.
And let's see, what kind of things could the slime actually do?
The slime can slow down the players. So how might slowing down maybe like
Maybe we'll make a specific designation here. Like we'll have make a break or something. Man, this stuff is not as easy as CSP makes it, but there we go. Make a break, and then we'll make like this will be the like the punishment right here. And this will be where we put what happens after a round goes by.
So like the complication kind of thing?
Yeah. The punishment, let's say like deal 2 damage to each player character.
PC.
Adam says slime can reduce the mana the player can make. That could be. Let's see, maybe in the spirit of slowing things down, we'll add like an additional effect that says like players can't draw cards while this is in effect. Let's say like skips their draw step.
That's the thing that I was thinking about earlier. Was how like how you basically like the rules along the lines of how many cards are in the deck, and then like how many cards do you have in your hand, and how do you like draw them, how do you place them down, and all that stuff. Those specific rule.
And the reason I phrased it this way, skips their draw step, is because if I said can't draw cards, that would imply that like even if they play a card that lets them draw cards, then that would effectively do nothing.
You want to still be able to at least allow them to potentially draw cards if they have cards that allow them to do so. But if you're
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's save this as slime. Let's try like I don't know, like climbing a mountain or something. I don't know.
Yeah, climbing a tree. Let's do climbing a tree.
Climb a tree. Yeah, I keep thinking, oh, why would you need to just climb a tree? It doesn't matter. It does not matter at this point what it's called.
Maybe it costs you like stamina or something. I don't know.
Yeah, what would you call it if you need to climb something? Just like athletics or something? I don't know. Athletics points, AP.
Yeah, athletics.
And then we can say challenge,
Environment. Or
yeah, let's do that. I don't know.
I feel like that's pretty general, like environment, like something happening in your environment.
Right. Now punishment. Let's see.
Then should there be a reward for climbing the tree too? Like there's a punishment and then a reward.
I feel like everything should probably have a reward of some kind.
Yeah.
Like, or wouldn't
the slime gives you a resource of slimy bits.
Well, wouldn't simply overcoming the challenge and then earning a victory point from that be a reward?
True.
Of course.
That's true. But maybe climbing the tree gives you a vantage point for like a perception card that you have, or like an action to perceive something from afar.
Just thinking about how this would because the way you're talking, it sounds like it's more of a thing players would choose to do. In which case, that would be like an action thing.
That's true, because climbing is literally an action, so it would be an action to do so.
Yeah. Adam says, might want to change it to scale a cliff. Something that is more likely to happen during an adventure. That would be like closer to what I was thinking. Like you have to climb something to get on with your journey. So, climb a cliff for the sake of flavor. So, what would the punishment be for taking too long?
Break your leg. Fall off and die.
Yeah, obviously, damage is the easy way to go, but if you can just keep going at it, for example.
Yeah.
We kind of need to have, like, other things besides health for the players to worry about.
Add a complication. Like, that makes it harder to climb. And it gives the GM more victory points. Or we could just literally say the punishment is the GM gets more victory points.
Yeah, we could.
If you don't,
let's just go with that. Gains 1 victory point. I spell it right? Yeah, I think so. GM gains 1 victory point. And, well, if it's given out victory points like candy, it might want to give, like, have, like, a drawback from the DM side. So, let's make, like, a reward.
Okay. So the reward for passing it would be...
Now let's just make it real basic.
You get a victory point. Each player gets a victory point.
Each PC draws 1 card.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Now let's use the actual numeral. Alright. So that would be in addition to, like, completing the challenge and supposedly gaining a victory point for that, I suppose. Mm-hmm. Alright. Climb a cliff. We'll save that. Now we kind of need, like, athletics actions, don't we? In order to climb the cliff.
Yeah. Okay, that's actually how we should go about this. Create a challenge and then create cards that can actually complete that challenge.
Create responses to the challenge, right?
Yes, yes.
So, what kind of things help climb a cliff, let's say?
An athletics check.
Should this be action?
Action, climb. Climbing. Scaling, or, I don't know.
Well, I don't want it to be, like, too specific.
Physical?
This is where we get into that weird conundrum of how abstract everything has to be.
Honestly, I think action, climb, or, I mean, I guess athletics would, yeah.
Yeah.
We could just go like very basic skills.
Yeah. The bigger question, I think, is what do we even call it?
Athletics. Everyone can have an athletics card inside their deck if they go the athletics route, or multiple athletics cards.
We'll figure out the naming later.
Or we can go like strength.
Strength? In what sense? For the name?
Like
the title?
Very generic. Yeah. Like just very generic. You use a strength card to do a strength action.
Action strength.
And then it could be like, so yeah, that's good.
So, let's see. How did we do that other thing? Like, deal 2 strength damage? Or athletics damage?
Or, I mean, not necessarily damage. We could say like.
Yeah, I'm just kind of using that as a placeholder terminology.
Because what did the climb a cliff have? Like, like it was athletics points or something.
Yeah, athletics points is what it was called, I think.
So
AP. Or we could
deal 2 athletics points.
We could just say gain 2 athletics points.
Yeah. Or use 2 athletics points towards a challenge.
Yeah, we can figure out what the good words to use are later. We know what it means. Alright. Athletics.
The fun thing is that we could have different athletics cards and be like, you get 5 athletics points or like 1 athletics points.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Well, that's how the whole cost system would work, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. You know what? We haven't really talked too much about how the resources are going to be generated.
What would be the best way to do that?
I'm not too sure. I'm thinking... Maybe... You know what, we could try something really basic and say, like, that the cost it says on the card, you would be able to, like, discard that card and generate that amount.
So, like, if you had, like, multiple athletics cards in your hand and you wanted to discard one, you'd get resources from that?
Yeah. So if you discard an athletics card, you get the 2 martial resources.
And then would that...
And that would
that,
be like
on like
I would be thinking that'd be on like a turn-by-turn basis, but well, that's gonna affect the draw mechanics as whichever way we do it. As if we do it that way, we'll have to draw cards more often in order to keep your hand full.
And you only have a certain amount of cards in your deck.
Right. Adam says, I'm wondering if this game needs a GM. All the ordeals seem random. Like they could be drawn from an ordeal deck. Well, that's because we haven't added any complications or anything like that for the DM to actually play.
The way I imagine it is that the GM could make their own deck based off of a specific adventure, and then like mix and match like adventure decks that would be like, hey, I want to make my own adventure like with using these types of cards, and then you play them at specific points for the adventure to go on like a story.
Right. Okay, I've completely lost the plot on what we were doing exactly.
So we did the athletics.
Right, we got athletics down.
We were talking about the resources on the cards.
Right.
I mean, I'm also getting tired. So if you wanted, we could call it here and then pick up like maybe next week or something.
Yeah, that might be a good idea. I don't know if I can do it next week, but we'll find a time.
Or maybe we could just like schedule this for like bi-weekly Friday nights or something like that.
That's the thing. I don't know if I'll have Fridays off bi-weekly.
That's fine. That's fine.
We can figure it out as we go, but yes. I'll definitely be trying to think of things in the meantime. Because now that we've got it in writing, that's when things start to get real. Before that, it's just ideas. Could the cards themselves be resources like in Domain? Kind of. Not to shill for my own game, but I do like that system.
I really need to play that game. I want to play it.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll call it here and take a break, rest our brains.
Yes.
But anyways, thanks for coming by, everybody. Sorry about the scuff and the storm and the tornado warning and losing the internet and Photoshop crashing and my monitors turning off.
Just everything today.
Everything goes wrong. Except for the little light up thing on the screen when you talk.
Yeah. Yeah.
That worked, and I didn't even expect it to work.
As we continue, these will get better. I'm sure of it.
Well, eventually it'll make sense. Hopefully.
Oh, yes. Yes. I'm excited for next time.
Yeah.
And thank you for having me on for this.
Oh, no problem. This is always fun to take a break from other games and start making something completely new. Alrighty then.
Alright.
I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.